rushing to the stores to go buy bread and milk. How much bread and milk do you normally eat during your life? But then for some reason, anytime there might be something going on, everybody has to get more bread and milk.
Yeah, and that's Greg Gnip. I'm Chris Uzinski. Welcome to Gnyp Gnop, guys.
Oh, that's right. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm the Gnip of Greg Gnip, and that's the Gnop of. Listen,
Sure.
I just
Bread,
had to get that
bread,
tirade
milk,
going.
and beer.
What?
I just
Bread,
needed it.
milk, and beer.
Oh,
Oh.
see, you are a man. You know what? You mean like something like this, like a say a fine Guinness?
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
You know, Guinness. I mean, that goes anytime. I mean, that's perfect for the summer. It's perfect for after snow. 10 inches of snow. It's good all the time. So, so
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, legendary bass player musician David J joins us on Gnyp Gnop. Welcome, David, from California.
Hello.
So nice to
so
have you on.
so
Last time we saw you was 2018. Greg and I were actually at the Bauhaus show at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. We were drinking beer in the basement as you walked by. We didn't get a chance to say hi, but you sounded great, and that was a great tour.
Thank you. Yeah, I love St Andrews Hall. And I love Detroit. It's a bit of a second home for me because I've got a lot of friends there, many of whom are musicians, and I've done quite a few projects there, recording and playing live.
That's awesome.
see, hence the
Yeah.
reason a little Detroit love on my hat for you.
All right.
So, so I have to say, I've got to be honest. So the way I got introduced to you guys, my sister is 6 years older than I am, and I was in a high school that listened to just god awful music. I have to be honest. In the late '70s, it was bands like Kiss and Boston and Aerosmith, and I mean they're fine and they're right. But my sister said, you need to start listening to stuff like this. Just check this out. And I remember it must have been about 1980. So I'm looking at 42 years now when she said, listen to this. And it was anything from, the Sex Pistols to, the whole range. But listening to that bass line, boom, 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 boom. And it was like my mind went,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Bless
absolutely
the big
incredible.
siblings,
So thank
for
you for
they lead
being,
the way.
but thank you for being one of the guys that actually changed my life in the music era. So I just needed to get that off my chest before we even start any of the interview.
Yeah, just as an observation, David. I mean, Bauhaus was really there at that pinnacle with the first single being Bela Lugosi's "Dead," and at the same time, Susie's got a new album out. The Cure have their debut album out. Joy Division is out there, and then you guys come up with this absolutely amazing song that's like 9 minutes long, and it changes the world and really kind of starts off the goth movement.
Yeah, that was not our intention, but yes, that's what happened. Yes, so it would appear.
And the uniqueness about that song is the melody is the bass line that you created, it's really unique and will be that song that really kind of really kind of defines that generation of music listeners.
All right. It's a chord. It's actually a bass chord. I'm playing
Right,
two notes simultaneously. It's not just single notes.
right.
So,
So
so
go
one
ahead.
of the questions I do have to ask you about Bela Lugosi's "Dead" because I've talked to uh, Matt from and working. I worked in radio for a long time, so talking to like bands like say Tool and whatever, who've made long songs, and every once in a while, right? And some of the times that they're like, well, I'm like, so what made you do a 7 minute song or an 8 minute song or 10 minute songs, and every once in a while
It's never
they're like,
it's never planned. It's just
well,
it's the song having its way with you, and it's just you letting that song, that idea breathe and evolve and become what it's meant to become, and not putting any restrictions on it.
that's okay, and that's the thing, right? Because I working in radio, early alternative radio. Actually, you don't even understand how many times Bela Lugosi's "Dead" saved my life, because it was the, you know what? Need to use the bathroom. Thank you. 9 minutes long. You guys, I love you. But so then, Chris.
Glad to have been of service, sir.
Yeah. So shortly after the Bauhaus breakup, you know, again, I saw the first Love and Rockets tour in Detroit as well, with Tones on Tail was doing support on the show, and then you know the Love and Rockets obviously headlined the show. Incredible show to watch. Actually, one of the like, top two shows I've ever seen, and uh, there was a number of songs that became hits. We just recently talked about people covering some of your songs, and you said that Tom Jones was covering this.
Tom Jones, yeah, and in his when he was playing Vegas, and he was playing So Alive live. Good old Tom.
Yep. And then we have a friend of ours who's mutual. You played in the Jazz Butcher for a number of years. How did you get a chance to meet Pat?
Well, Pat had a growing reputation around town, Northampton, as somebody who was a character, really. Somebody who was like this extraordinary character, very witty, almost like a sort of Noel Coward-esque type persona, and a good songwriter. And I heard people talking about him mainly in pubs. I thought I need to check this out, and so I went down and I saw him play with Max in a pub, and I was very impressed. I loved them instantly. Like their rapport was great, and the songs were really good. And I thought I'd like to produce them.
Oh, okay.
And so I put this to Pat, and he entertained the idea to such a degree that I ended up in the studio with them, and they needed some bass line on something. So it was kind of one of those moments where they looked at me, you know, and I thought, okay, it's part of production, you know, playing. So I played bass, and it works. And then I played bass on another one. I thought, well, we all thought, oh, I'm the bass player.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened, quite naturally, you know. And I really enjoyed their company, and it was very copacetic. And so I joined the band for a bit.
Well, it's
This is the cat. This is enter Griff. You can't see him. He's cruising for a bruising, I tell you.
the attack cat.
He opens doors, and sometimes he closes them and locks himself in bathrooms.
There
Yeah,
you go.
there he goes. There he goes.
Okay. So Pat Fish recently passed away unexpectedly. And
Such a shock.
what a
That was
loss!
such a shock.
What a loss that is. And you had written a song to kind of commemorate Pat, or in memory of Pat.
That song just poured out of me, you know, as a response, as that's my way of processing these things, and it happens more frequently, alas, you know. But that's what happens. So that song for Pat and about Pat just came forth.
Right. We'd love to hear it. It's Pat Fish from the Jazz Butcher. For those who are just joining us now, had passed away, and this song is to kind of really commemorate him.
Okay, I'll just shut the door here.
Because the cat.
Yeah, he's in now. Hopefully he'll stay. He'll stay and pay his respects to Pat.
There you go.
This is called Quelle Tristesse. dose of Danny Blanchflower takes you by the midst, leads you through the market square into the ship, where you slip into the sun, there to take a sip of Holland's gin and Pilsner, and does ever leave a tip. Looking for the pretty note, Charlie Parker and Coltrane, as we reminisce and eulogize and sing through the pain. And of course there will be angels, and of course there will be beer, and the remnant of the kindness, whimsy and good cheer of Shakespeare Road. Fishy mansions is dark today, no more Sundays will you bless. The audience is in distress. Quelle tristesse. Brazos luminosas, my old friend, we traverse so many roads, from Frankfurt to Austin. You had your demons, your personality was split, sometimes so acerbic, on vinegar, piss and spit, but then Lucian charming, very soul of wit. Now you've shuffled off this coil, it's hard to process it. Anyone who's lost the sun, hours later is a mess, and the gentle folk are in distress. Count your steps, 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 count your steps.
Beautiful, beautiful
Incredible.
song.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you
song.
so much for doing that. That's absolutely amazing.
Thanks for sharing that with us. It really is, and it's got to be quite cathartic because I mean, what a wonderful journey that you just kind of told us about with the the fishy mansion and the roads that you guys have taken. So, what a beautiful song to commemorate a good friend.
Thank you. What's happening with this song is it's gone on a little international journey. So I recorded the basic song, as you just heard, guitar and vocal, and then sent it off to a bunch of reprobates, the usual suspects who played with Pat in the past, such as my brother,
Yes.
Max, of course, Rolo, of course.
Yep.
Phil Parfit. It's just gone on this journey, and everybody is adding a track, or in Rolo's case, 20 overdubs. And then it's going to come back to me, this little musical boomerang, and I'm going to try and sort it out.
Okay.
And mix it, and then it'll come out as a single on Glass Modern.
Oh.
A 7-inch proper single, and all the money, the tons of money earned from this will go to Cat's Rescue, which was Pat's favorite charity.
Well, bravo.
So that's the idea.
That's great.
No, that's amazing, and it was terrible. I remember waking up and checking Facebook, and there was the post that said, we're very sad to say Pat Fish passed away, and it was one of those ones where I went, no, that can't be true. That can't be true. And then going back and checking it again, and just feeling that gut punch, because being a fan of his for so long, and then connecting through Facebook, the whole kind of thing. And I said, I had to show you this, because I said, when I moved, I cleaned the house, and when we moved to a new place, and my now ex-wife decided that I needed to get rid of some of my old concert t-shirts, and there were certain things that I said I can never get rid of, and I had to show you this. There's a 30-year-old Jazz Butcher Conspiracy t-shirt, 30 or 40, and I said, no, that will never leave the house, because that's, that part of my era of going to concerts, that was just phenomenal, seeing him in Ann Arbor. So, truly he's going to be missed by a lot of people.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was emailing him a couple of days before the day. I was actually going to contact him that day about his health, because he said he cancelled the live from Fishy Mansions, and he's saying that he had sleep apnea, and I've had that in the past, and I wanted to advise him on that.
And I know at that time, because we were just talking just before that, he was on the show. We were talking about him doing a new album.
I'm sorry?
We were talking about him doing a new album.
Oh, well, he's released that album. It's wonderful. I think it's the best thing he ever did.
It was released.
Yes, it's just come out.
Oh, okay.
Highest in the Land, it's called. It's so good.
Maybe we'll post a link for everyone as well to take a look at that. That'd be wonderful to listen to. Talking about musicians and people we miss. I mean, we've lost so many great musicians over the years. Who else do you miss?
Oh God! Well, obviously David Bowie.
Right. You had a relationship with him.
Devastating. And again, I wrote a song in response to that. On the night that I heard that news, called "The Day That David Bowie Died." That's how, as I say, I process these things, and it was quite extraordinary. I was on tour. I was doing a little tour of living rooms, which something I love to do, and I picked up Black Star. I was in Portland, and I picked it up the day it came out, and then that night, I was going to Seattle, and I played in Seattle, and I played it afterwards. I was staying in the house in the basement, had all the lights out, headphones, and played that album, and it blew me away. And then the next night I went to Portland, because I played in Portland before, but I was going back because I had a recording session, and then that night it was there, and I was going to play it again. Then I got the news, and so I played it for the second time under completely different circumstances, and again it blew me away, but in a different way. And I was devastated. And I had not this guitar, but I had my guitar, my little nylon string guitar, in my room, hotel room. and it kind of called to me, and I picked it up and I wrote the day that David Bowie died. But the session, which was intended to record, going to record something else. I thought, well, I have to record this song. So I did. So it was the day after he passed, I recorded the song. And we had musicians coming in. It was at Colin Hegner's studio, Revolver. Colin from Brian Jonestown Massacre and Federale. And so we were just, I laid down the song, basically, and with this setup. And then we were just thinking of what instruments to go on it. And then Colin was just making phone calls. I said, well, pedal steel would be good. So he calls up pedal steel player. Piano, you know, bassist. We had the bass player from Mercury Rev, Paul. And so all these, it was like a revolving door. And it was one day, and we finished the mix. And at the end, we invited everybody back in. Had a couple of bottles of something and listened to it and cried.
Yeah. You met Bowie early on.
Yeah, on the set of The Hunger.
Okay.
81. He was quite lovely to us.
Yeah. And he was also a really big fan, obviously, of Ziggy Stardust. I mean, you guys put that, as soon as that came out, it hit the charts in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Huge
then,
influence, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
I got into Bowie before Ziggy, actually, when Hunky Dory came out, because I heard this track, Andy Warhol, on a TV show, The Old Grey Whistle Test. And they didn't show that sometimes on that show they would have like an old film, old black and white silent movie, and then they'd just play the track over the top. And that was the case with Andy Warhol. And it was the sound of that arrested me, and I was like really entranced by it. And the next day I went down to Spinadisc Records in Abington Square and purchased my copy of Hunky Dory, and was pouring on the double-decker bus ride back home, pouring over the lyrics. And I ran from the bus stop to the house and put it on my parents' huge
console,
mahogany gramophone, and turned it up full and blasted that, and it was just, oh my God. It was opening the, you know, the Aladdin's cave. It was just,
yeah.
Would you
and
say,
then
David,
very soon after that, he came back with the Ziggy, with Starman.
Yes. Yep.
Now, would you say David Bowie was one of the, I don't want to say influences, but maybe, I guess in a weird way, like towards your style as you started off as your own musician?
Sure. No. Yes. Very influential. Yeah. Alongside Mark Bolan, Roxy Music, early Roxy, Velvet Underground. And the Velvet Underground I discovered via Bowie, Lou Reed. Also I discovered Iggy Pop and the Stooges via Bowie, because he would talk about these artists in interviews. And anything he was enthusiastic about, I'd immediately check out. Scott Walker is another one. Jacques Brel.
Now, and now, when you got, you know, listening to all that, now when you were with Bauhaus and like Love and Rockets and things like that, one of the things I always wanted to know is, when you went into Love and Rockets, it became a little bit more, I don't want to say, and I hate saying accessible, but because I did commercial radio for so long, I a lot of times think of accessibility. And when Soul, and I want to go back to Soul Alive just because that was such a hit for, you know, that was the commercial hit. What did you guys think when that started to like rise through the charts and start climbing, and you know, you'd hear it at MTV, Much Music, all these video stations were showing you guys. Was it kind of a mind-blowing thing, or was it kind of like how did that happen?
No, we crafted our sound. We worked really hard to make the records sound as they did, and we were quite confident that we were onto something really good. We would have been very disappointed if it hadn't have happened, put it that way.
That's awesome. Chris?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you've produced a lot of artists. You do a lot of solo work as well, and you have a new project that you've been working on, the Night Crickets. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that
Yeah,
formed and
yes,
how that happened.
yeah, 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 a few actually. Because I have different bands that I play with depending on the nature of the music. There's one band called Rakia, Raqia,
Okay.
who are wonderful, based in LA, here in LA, and they're acoustic, violin, piano, and guitar. And I play live with them as well, and it takes me into a different area. It's very specific. It's sort of it's semi-improvised,
Okay.
and we've recorded a whole album of spoken word material, which is based around my poetry, and that's done. And we will be out later this year. It's called The Mother Tree,
Okay.
and then there's another spoken word project with Richard E and Sheila E from Annabelle Lee, and that's a great project that they do. And again, it's spoken word, and
Okay.
it's each of us have written basically a third of the words, and all got together to make the music. Sheila's a wonderful vocalist, and Richard is a guitar player and keyboard player, and that's called Fugue State. And again, that will be released towards the end of this year with a bit of luck. Um, and then I've been recording with a guy called Julian Shah Taylor, multi-instrumentalist, really talented. And again, when I get together with him, it's a different flavor, a different chemistry. And we've been recording tracks every now and again, and putting together what's shaping up to be probably an EP. So there's three straight off the bat.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of retrospective stuff as well in the works that will come to light soon.
Nice. Maybe a tour or two.
Well, my touring schedule this year is just devoted to Bauhaus,
Okay.
and we've sort of agreed on a pact that we won't play any other gigs outside of the band, just to focus on it.
Okay.
And we have a lot of dates being booked at the moment, which will take us to the end of the year. Very selective shows, some festivals. The first one will be in Pasadena, Cruel World, May the 14th and 15th, I think it is. So that will kick things off, and then we're off, and sailing.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some video footage, I think, just before Christmas of the Mexico City concert with like 25,000 people. It looked absolutely stunning.
We did two there, and we did one at Alexandra Palace in London, which was amazing. That last show. Well, Mexico was great as well,
Ooh.
but we feel like we're firing on all four. It's very powerful at the moment, the band.
Wonderful, wonderful. And the Night Crickets is something that's coming
Yes,
out.
of course, the Night Crickets.
That's,
Here it is.
that's coming out shortly.
Yes, see that.
There it is.
Which is Victor De Lorenzo from Violent Femmes, my old mate Darwin Miners, and myself.
Mhm.
And how this came together was Darwin and I saw the Femmes play at Coachella a few years ago. That was great. And Darwin met up with Victor afterwards, and they got chatting and kind of hit it off, and then carried on emailing each other. And then Darwin suggested to Victor that maybe they could collaborate on something. And Victor was into it, but he then said, why don't we take it further and ask David if he's interested? And I was. This was during the midst of the lockdown, extended,
Yep.
incarceration time. And so we were all in various locales Victor was in Milwaukee and Darwin Santa Rosa, and I was in LA. And so we just share files. And usually it would be Victor who would kick it off because he's the drummer.
Yep.
So he'd send some beats. He'd play like for a duration of a song, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, sometimes 4. And then I'd usually add the bass line, then send it over to Darwin. He'd add some guitars and keyboards. Then it'd go back to Victor, and he'd add percussion and vocals maybe. Back to me, I'd do some vocals and whatever, drones. Back to Darwin, it's like that. And then we just decide, oh, this one's done, isn't it? Next, you know. And we just carried on like that. So we had an album. It's very natural, just really kind of in the zone.
Yep.
We didn't really have any plans for it. We're just doing it for the sake of it, really. But we've got it out now, and it's getting probably the best press of my life.
It's
been really well received, you know.
It is a wonderful album.
Very gratifying.
It's a really, if I had a really good description for it, it'd be really earthy. It's just it just kind of grounds you. And it's a wonderful album.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really proud of it.
Yeah. And
so we're now thinking of taking it further and next year playing live.
Oh, like going on tour.
Yeah.
And supporting it. That'd be great. We'd love to see you back in Detroit.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
And we can buy you some Guinness.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
Have some pints.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks again, David, for doing this and joining us and really kind of giving us your story with Pat Fish and the Jazz Butcher, which I think was really important for us. I mean, Pat was one of the first guests on the show. He wanted to come on and we had a great time, and he is missed. He is one of those guys who you will always miss. What a funny guy.
Well, for me, one of my biggest things is I miss having him every once in a while jump on something I post and his comment. And I'd always go, as soon as I read it, I wouldn't even have to know that it was Pat. I wouldn't have to see the name. I'd go, yeah, it's Fish. And I'd go, yep, that's Pat. Yeah. And then we'd get into our debate. And then I miss that. And I miss his wit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As I say in the song, you know, the very soul of wit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. David, thanks again.
Rapier-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us so early in Los Angeles this morning. And sharing some time with us and playing the song. We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you in Detroit real soon.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
All the best.
Stay safe.
All right.
And just before we do end, I do want to play a song on the way out. Greg, we'll see you next week. But this is Black Leather on the Inside from the Night Crickets.
For Peter Loeffner.
For Peter Loeffner.
And Rheingold. The ritual is the formula. Black leather on the inside. New York round the corner. And the devil is on your doorstep. 'Cause he knows you're staying in. Though part of you is always out. But life is wearing thin. 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 Life is wearing thin.